Multiple attacks in the city of Paris tonight. At least 30 people have been killed in what appears to be a coordinated operation. From a restaurant shooting to explosions outside a soccer stadium and now a hostage situation at a theater. First, here are your headlines.
Police call him a hero. A 9-year-old boy calls 911 to report his mother is drinking and driving with him in the vehicle.
He was hysterical on the phone. He was very scared.
I'm Michelle Chung with how police tracked down that vehicle.
A 21-year-old man charged in the murder of an 82-year-old woman was on probation.
My aunt was the most giving, loving person.
I can't accept. I really can't accept it.
I'm Lorenda Redekop with what we've learned about the suspect's criminal past.
This is CBC Toronto News.
Good evening, I'm Anne-Marie Medaway.
I'm Dwight Drummond. We begin with that breaking news tonight. France in a state of emergency, a series of explosions and shootings in the French capital.
What we know so far is at least 35 people are dead, and we have a hostage situation playing out at a theater. These pictures show heavily armed officers responding to one of the shootings. This is the one at the restaurant. At first, it was thought a fight had broken out, but these attacks appear to be coordinated.
Mike Wise is tracking the developments in Paris for us tonight. He joins us now in studio with the latest. Mike.
Dwight, I must say, this is a story that is unfolding by the minute. A lot of the information we are getting is fluid. A lot of the numbers we're hearing about keep changing. We have reports of up to 3 explosions and as many as 6 shooting sites. It is midnight in Paris. We know this started about 2 hours ago when there were multiple explosions heard outside the Stade de France during a friendly match between France and Germany, a football match. We do have videos of that moment. Let's take a look. You can see play stopping there. We are hearing reports from local French media of as many as 3 suicide bombers at that stadium. Again, this is still very early in this. We need confirmation of that. The French Football Federation president saying the stadium is secure. There's no longer any danger there. But there are deadly attacks elsewhere. The Stade de France in the northwest part, another major location southeast, the Bataclan Concert Hall. Reports say as many as 100 people taken hostage inside that nightclub venue there. A number of people killed there. Reports of shootouts with police officers there. Reports saying 11 people were killed at the Le Carillon restaurant. We've seen images, as you saw there, of bodies on the sidewalk. A lot of chaos, people wondering what's happening. The Paris metro is closed in this particular part of Paris. People are being told to stay in their home. Again, this is unfolding. We are hearing reports of attacks in other locations, shopping malls as well. We'll be keeping an eye on those, and we'll update throughout our newscast. Dwight and Anne-Marie.
Thanks, Mike. Well, joining us now on the phone is Toronto freelance journalist Vivian Song. She is in Paris tonight. Vivian, you've been listening into the broadcast so far. Mike Wise giving us some details. What are you hearing and seeing and learning about these attacks?
Well, just moments ago, President François Hollande appeared on television to issue a statement. 2 very important things came out of that. First of all, he has declared an official state of emergency, declaring that circulation, traffic will be closed. Second of all, he has said that the borders, he's closing the borders, the French borders. He also said that we know who they are, we know who these terrorists are, and appealed to the French to be strong. So very clear message. This was just moments after he had been in the same stadium at the Stade de France where he had been watching the football game between Germany and France. So he was evacuated and came on air maybe about 10 minutes ago to issue this statement. As you mentioned, the information is very fluid. We're hearing lots of different things, lots of different numbers. But the city has advised everyone to stay indoors. For context, I lived in the area where this of the concert hall, the Bataclan, for 4 years, so I'm very familiar with the area. It's a Friday night. People are celebrating the Friday night, kicking off the weekend. Very, very busy. It should also be noted that this happened not far from the Charlie Hebdo offices, because that is also in the same area, not far from Place de République, which is closed, and a major gathering place. So, République is a very symbolic place in Paris. This is where people go to stage their demonstrations. It's the public space. So all of this in the area where it's very bustling, very busy, also packed with tourists. But that's what we know so far. As you said, the numbers keep changing, but it's a terrible shock. It's a terrible shock.
Vivian, one of the updates that we are just getting, I imagine you did it at the same time, is that police are focusing their attention, specifically raiding one part of Paris right now. Is that near the Bataclan?
I'm not sure. As you said, I'm kind of getting the same information as yourself. If you're talking about the 11th and 10th, it could very well be that's where the concentration of where the attacks occurred. Bataclan is not far from the bar, the Carillon, where the first shooting took place. And I don't live very far. I live just north of the arrondissement, and I'm still hearing sirens go by. So circulation has been shut down. The city is in a massive shutdown.
Vivian, did you hear any of those explosions or gunfire?
I did not, no.
All right, Vivian Song is a freelance journalist in Paris for us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as Vivian mentioned, French President François Hollande has declared a state of emergency. He has closed the borders and is calling this a terrorist attack. Just moments ago, U.S. President Barack Obama also spoke about the situation in Paris. He is not willing to speculate on who is behind the attacks, but he is calling it terrorism.
Paris itself represents the timeless values of human progress. Those who think that they can terrorize the people of France or the values that they stand for are wrong. The American people draw strength from the French people's commitment to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We are reminded in this time of tragedy that the bonds of liberté and égalité and fraternité are not only values that the French people care so deeply about, but they are values that we share.
All right, let's recap the situation for you right now. France's president says the country is under an attack from terrorists. At least 35 people are dead in Paris, but that number could be as high as 60 as this situation continues to develop. There is an ongoing hostage-taking situation at a theater with reports of at least 100 people being held hostage. There have been attacks at 6 different locations in the city. Residents of the city are being told to stay inside right now. France has closed its borders. Nobody can enter or leave the country, which is under a state of emergency. Here at home, the federal government has a number of Canadians in Paris. This is a number that they can call for help. It is 1-613-996-8885. Of course, we'll bring you the latest developments from Paris as they happen. We will have more local news for you after the break. Plus, we are following the latest developments from Paris. There have been attacks at 6 different locations in that city. This is a live look for you right now. At least 35 people are dead. That number could go as high as 60. There's also an ongoing hostage situation. We're following all these developments for you. We will be right back.
And we continue with our breaking news tonight. A series of deadly shootings and explosions in Paris. French President Hollande has declared a state of emergency. He has also closed the borders. He says people in Paris have reason to be afraid, but to please have trust in the police. Right now, there is an active raid ongoing. The president would not say where that was taking place, but he did add they know who is behind these attacks. French police official has confirmed, this is a report we're getting from AP, that there were 2 suicide attacks and 1 bombing, and that took place near the Paris Stadium. Now, Prime Minister Trudeau is leaving for Turkey tonight. He's headed out for the G20 before he heads to Paris. We have just learned that he will be speaking a little later tonight from the airport.
We continue to follow the situation in Paris for you tonight. There have been a series of deadly shootings and explosions. French President François Hollande has declared a state of emergency. AP is reporting that there were 2 suicide attacks. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest developments. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We continue with our breaking news from Paris tonight. We are hearing at least 35 people are dead after a series of shootings and explosions, including 2 suicide attacks. French President Hollande has declared a state of emergency. GRN correspondent Catherine Field is joining us live from Paris. Catherine, the president has called this a terrorist attack. What can you tell us about what's happening on the streets right now?
What we know on the streets right now is that there are still gunmen on the loose. The police are still roaming the streets trying to find these gunmen, some who have already carried out attacks, of course, that we've seen on our television screens. Others, they are just so worried there's going to be more attacks. If you have a look as the evenings progress, some of these attacks have now spread over more of an area of Paris, several kilometers wide. So that's what they're trying to do at this time. At the same time, they've got that hostage situation in the concert hall in Paris as well. There's differing reports about how many people are being held in there. Some people are saying 60, some media outlets are saying up to 100. But we do know what we've heard from witnesses who've made it out is that inside there is carnage, that some people have already been killed.
Catherine, police have said they're focusing, or the president have said they're focusing on a particular area of France or of Paris right now. Is that the Bataclan Theatre?
There is that area and the area around that. If you know Paris at all, you have the center of Paris pretty much is the Notre Dame Cathedral, or just north of there, really on the other side of the Seine. You're talking about areas that are well known to people around the world, around the Louvre, the museum, Paris's most famous museum, Châtelet, Les Halles, all around that area that many tourists will know. And it's very popular, with normal French people. People go out there of an evening, such as this evening, a nice, clear, bright evening. Almost it was as though everyone was out there. When I was out there earlier tonight before this happened, it felt as though most of Paris just wanted to go out and enjoy what everyone thought was going to be the last beautiful, clear evening before winter set in.
Catherine, what about warning signs, emails, anything like that? Are you hearing that this is something that maybe had been percolating?
We've been hearing reports for months that it wasn't a matter of if, but when Paris would have another attack along the same lines as happened in January against Charlie Hebdo. The state of emergency, the state of security in Paris had not diminished over the last 3 months. Parisians had, if you like, gotten used to the fact that we've had troops on the streets, we've had troops in railway stations. They've gotten used in the last couple of weeks to a new level of security, because don't forget, Paris is coming up to the big climate summit, which is supposed to open here at the end of the month. So we'd been told security was going to get tightened. We'd also been told by the Interior Ministry that they were foiling planned attacks here in Paris. So it was, if you like, in a very sad way, expected that something like this would happen.
Catherine, very quickly before we have to let you go, about the climate change conference, any word about changes to that at all? Of course, our Prime Minister, just one of the world leaders on the way there.
At this moment, there's no talk at all of changing that particular conference at which all these heads of state and government and ministers will come to.
Catherine, thank you very much so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Well, here's the latest that we've learned so far. France is under a state of emergency. Their president calling this a terror attack. At least 35 people are dead in Paris. That number could be as high as 60. There is an ongoing hostage-taking situation at a theater. Residents of the city are being told to stay inside. Metro stations have been shut down, and France has closed its borders. Nobody can enter or leave the country. And, of course, we are monitoring the latest developments in Paris. We're going to bring them to you as they happen. And we are continuing to update this story from Paris for you tonight. This is the aftermath of one of the attacks. This video is just into our newsroom. It was tweeted by a witness. You can see victims of one of those attacks being treated on scene.
French President Francois Hollande says he has closed the country's borders tonight and is declaring a state of emergency. Mike Wise joins us in studio again with the very latest from Paris. Mike.
Well, Dwight, we do have some developments I want to tell you about at the Bataclan Music Hall. This is where hostage-taking was taken. And we have some video. This showing some people from that venue coming out. We don't know if they were hostages or nearby people here as well. The French president is saying that a police assault at this location is underway. We are hearing from multiple sources reports of automatic gunfire being heard from outside that venue. 5 explosions were heard inside the music hall. That is the location, as we said, where as many as 100 people were being held hostage. They were attending a rock concert on a Friday night in Paris. Again, the details in this are very fluid. We don't know if that's a rescue attempt, an attempt to go at the people holding the hostages at this point. We'll continue to follow this. We're also learning some more about the explosion that started all of this. That was at the Stade de France in the northwest part of Paris. Police officials confirming this started with 2 suicide attacks there. One bombing near the Paris stadium where a friendly match between Germany and France was taking place. Police officials say at least 3 people died there near the entrances and near a McDonald's by the stadium. We're also watching some numerous attacks elsewhere. Police saying 11 people killed at the Le Carillon restaurant. There was also reports of a 4th location, some police activity in the Place de la République. Now, people are being advised not to leave their homes in the Paris area tonight, and all schools and universities in France will be closed Saturday. Dwight and Emery.
Thank you, Mike. Now, we have just heard from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He sent this message out via Twitter. I am shocked and saddened that so many people have been killed and injured in violent attacks in Paris. Canada stands with France. The Prime Minister's office says Trudeau will speak at the airport before his departure for the G20 summit to Turkey a little later this evening. When we return, Paris in a state of emergency after a series of terror attacks. Stay with us here on CBC Toronto News.
Updating the latest news from Paris, which has been hit by a terror attack tonight. You can see there as the bomb went off and the players reacting on the field. French President Francois Hollande has closed the country's borders and is declaring a state of emergency. There was a hostage situation at the Bataclan Music Hall. French media reports the police operation there is over and 2 attackers were killed. Police also confirming this started with 2 suicide attacks, 1 bombing near the Paris stadium. Police also say at least 3 people are dead there, near the entrances and near a McDonald's. Police are advising people not to leave their homes tonight. All schools and universities in France will be closed tomorrow. Now, U.S. President Obama says his country will offer any assistance the French government needs in the aftermath of the attacks. Speaking from the White House, Obama called the attacks an assault on the shared values of the U.S. and France.
Once again, we've seen an outrageous attempt to terrorize innocent civilians. This is an attack not just on Paris, it's an attack not just on the people of France, but this is an attack on all of humanity and the universal values that we share. We stand prepared and ready.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today issued this statement. In it, he says Canada stands with France at this dark time and offers all possible assistance. We will continue to work closely with the international community to help prevent these terrible, senseless acts. We will continue. Canada stands with France at this dark time and offers our support.
And Mike Weiss has also been staying on this story for us tonight. Dwight, what have you learned, Mike?
We have, as I said, been following this, as we were saying, official confirmation of that assault on the Bataclan concert hall there as well. That's where the hostages were being held. We've heard from a colleague with Radio Canada in Paris reporting he heard shooting and numerous explosions in that area. Buses and subways in Paris's 10th and 11th arrondissement are suspended. The number we've been dealing with are fluid, as I said, tonight. At least 35 people killed tonight. That number could go higher as we learn more details this evening. We'll be following this evening. So we've reported the French president has closed the borders to France. However, I just checked with the GTAA website. There is an Air Canada flight still scheduled to leave for Paris tonight in about 90 minutes. We'll monitor that to see if that continues tonight.